Ladies and gentlemen, hello. We've been really waiting for this day, and I'd like to start by thanking Helen for both trusting and inviting us, of course, to embark together in this adventure. I feel thankful to the previous president of the Research Center Athena, Professor George Karagiannis, for both supporting the idea of setting up a specialized digital curation unit and also for supporting dyas-net.gr in its birth time. And of course, Professor Yannis Ioannidis, the current president of the Research Center Athena, for sharing the vision and supporting dyas-net.gr and Daria. I also like to thank my colleagues at the Digital Curation Unit and especially Professor Konstantalos. So, in order to tell more about what we're doing in the dyas-net.gr infrastructure, perhaps we need to contemplate a little bit on the mission of it and exactly what we are trying to achieve. So I'd like to start with a slide I'm borrowing from the University of California Digital Library, which shows that what we are trying to do is exactly to be at the interface, to explore the interface of the two life cycles. The information life cycle, so putting together large collections of information and being able to access them, to preserve them, etc. That's on the right. And the research life cycle, the scholarly life cycle, which is actually the one that creates knowledge and creates this information that has to be placed in those fabulous repositories that we are supposed to produce. Now, these infrastructures like this are precisely about the interplay between these two life cycles. And we need to start by considering the levels at which we understand the information that is collected, produced, generated in the research life cycle. So the digital information in the arts and humanities can be understood at three levels: the object level, the process level, and the discourse level. The object level, the thing there is, how do you deal with the objects, the information objects that represent cultural objects? So it is a matter of constituting representational objects for the arts and humanities. The process level is precisely how do you do this? What are the steps through which this information is being generated and knowledge is generated? And then at the discourse level, how really do you create a knowledge system at the pragmatic level? What are the knowledge practices? There's a number of issues which are quite important and are raised here. The first is that we are faced with a really huge information space. Big data is a buzzword now. We've all heard that, but it is a reality. We are faced with a vast space of disaggregated information, which is born digital or digitized. It's really big, and we need to know exactly how to put it together. The second is that the digital assets in the humanities and in cultural world in general is not only the primary object. It is not just what you get by digitizing manuscripts or taking pictures 2D or 3D or whatever, or encoding text, but it is also a lot of things around that. It is increasingly, the thing is increasingly about the histories of objects, the interpretations, the narratives. The third point is something that is actually the root of the reservations that some humanists have towards all this, and it is the fact that there is a considerable loss of context when moving from the paper bound to digital information practices, and we have to really account for that. So this is something we have to live with and to fill some gaps rather than try to discount the importance of the media that were the carriers of human memory until now. And finally, it is a reality that there are multiple interpretive communities, so there are multiple interpretations. It would be a wrong metaphor to consider that just as you put together a database for bank transactions, you put together a database for cultural data, because there are multiple interpretations that are equally valid all over. So we are moving towards creating a unified, virtually unified space, digital space, and the nice thing we'll get from that is actually a value multiplier. So all the information that will be connected together will be more valuable just because it is cross-referenced with others. And this, of course, will become possible by providing a unified access to collections. Well, it is nice to say, but there is a precondition which is absolutely important, and this is the precondition of achieving interoperability both at a syntactic level and at a semantic level. At the syntactic level, we just have to agree on formats, and even this is a formidable task, it appears. At the semantic level, which is very important, the thing is that unless we agree per discipline on some agreed concepts and terms, a common understanding on which we can base the creation of some representations of the otherwise disparate digital sources, there is no way to achieve semantic interoperability. Now, here is where ontologies come into play. Let me turn to digital resources. What are the kinds of digital resources we envisage that we would be managing within the context of a digital infrastructure, digital research infrastructure? I would propose three: data, models, and terminology. Data, both primary and secondary, but also the models for representing those data. This is the way we capture how we understand the data, and then the nitty-gritty, the terms we use, because names are important, words are important, and we have to keep terminology as well. Now, suppose we do have those resources. There are some things we desire about those. We need to ensure quality, preservation, and usability in the future, which means that we do need to exercise digital curation, and that is both labor-intensive and technology-intensive. We need to have the proper technology, and we need to understand that this is to be part of the budget of the institutions that are to carry this out, and in fact, no single small institution can do that alone. And this is why synergies are being developed in this direction. And then it is not only resources. Suppose we do have digital resources. Where do they come from? They come from scholarly activity. It is the outcome of scholarly activity, and unless we do understand this, we are not going to be really successful about supporting the scholarly activity, or this might happen just by chance. So what we propose to do in DARIA is not only to look at the resources, but also to look at the way people work, and to do this from three angles. One is the angle of agency. That is, who is doing the activities, the actors, and really why? What are they looking for? The actors and goals in the research activity is a very important aspect which we cannot disregard if we are to really understand what's going on. The second aspect is the process. That is, how do people go about doing their research work, which relates to procedures and methods being used, and there is already a lot of work internationally on understanding and classifying research methods, and especially digital research methods. And finally, it is the realm of resources. That is, what is involved in carrying out these activities. Okay, there are resources involved, there are concepts that are actually what research is about, and there are also resources that are actually tools and services being used. So trying to understand the interplay between these three is very important for being successful. And now I turn to how we approach these desiderata from the point of view of our dyas-net.gr. It has been mentioned already that we are trying to support the research community to contribute to the development of IC-enabled research. And also we are trying to broaden the scope and the opportunities for research through the interconnection of various resources to promote the access, the creation and the preservation of research data, and also to support the exchange of knowledge. Now, if I try to present, to codify some challenges, then at least in my own understanding of an order of priority, I would quote first that we need to build a community of practice and expertise. So it is a matter of building a human community. Then it is a matter of discussing and taking some decisions on information policies in the humanities, because unless we have some such clear policies, data exchange is more of a joke. It is also, so this is tied to the matter of how then, suppose we do have these, how do we practically go about sharing knowledge in the humanities? And then we come into more, we go into more technical challenges, such as how do you deal with multiple and evolving interpretations, evolving in time, because there are many interpretive communities, one by cultural identity or by language, etc. There are many alternative interpretations, and these can change in time because research reinterprets things and redefines concepts. And then come the purely technical questions of interoperability and long-term access and preservation. Last but not least, as they say, but still, if I would like to prioritize things, then I would say that these technical issues are very important. They are also dealt with in other contexts. So the ones that are in the top are sort of particular to our infrastructure. And let me now turn to presenting you a map of the Vitoria Geo Services. What you see here is actually some boxes that present groups of services. And let me start from the right side, just because I want to stress that the number of activities that are going to take place in this project, in the building of this infrastructure, have to do precisely with the human element and with building the community of practice. So you see that we do want to have a large activity on providing services and guidelines to support people in producing resources. So it is building and disseminating the know-how of doing this and normalizing the way of doing this, which is important for the community to become productive. Developing human resources, training people and disseminating, as I said, putting together a digital humanities observatory. I'll give you more details in a while. And then I turn to other aspects. The aspect of providing resource management and sharing services, and what I call value chain services, and I'll show you in a minute what that is. And of course, to act as a point in Greece where people could, that would facilitate the access to the overall dyas services, because as you have understood, these are services that come about from the contributions of dyas partners from many countries, but then this is there is a redistribution effect that has to take place, and people to be able to take advantage of all the goodies that are produced in all of Daria. So by resource management and sharing services, I mean the building of registries of what exists. This is absolutely important, and thesauri and the vocabularies, repositories that may come into existence, and also migration tools from one format to the other. These are important for people to be able to share data, and dyas-net.gr will provide some concrete working services that are doing precisely this. Then the value chain services, I call them value chain precisely because they really support the successive addition of value to the data, because they enable not only further research activities, but also exploiting cultural data and humanities data in other activities, economic activities, and that is not to be disregarded, all to the contrary. So I would say that here we can see that there are curation services, long-term preservation services, quality assurance services. How do you ensure the quality of your data and your metadata and the services you provide? And how do you possibly even certify those? I mean, why would we be able to certify any other product or service and not those related to digital humanities? And also relations to the creative industries, so creativity services. Are these possible without something underlying? Of course not. There is room for something underlying. And this is a layer that can be, in part, generated in this infrastructure. In part, it can be, imported from other existing solutions and infrastructures. And this is the service framework, as we might call it, including cloud services. You can see there is a level of computational cloud and humanities data cloud. The computational cloud is already foreseen to be something imported. We'll take it from others. And building the interoperability framework, this is very domain specific. It has to do with the ontologies that are to be built in the humanities. And there are some, in fact, there is an ontology in the humanities that is an ISO standard. So the field is quite advanced in that respect, and it is the Foundation for Research and Technology, HELAS, one of the partners of this consortium that has spearheaded this development. And so here is the entire picture you have. And so now just a few points on some selected boxes that I picked from there. Under the resource sharing services, I mentioned registries. I'd like to expand a bit more on that. By the end of this phase of development, which is by September 2015, we will have data sources and collection registries, metadata registry, a registry of ontologies and vocabularies, and a registry of available software services for the use of dyas-net.gr. Then, in terms of developing services and guidelines for people, to support the development of resources, there is a series of actions that will take place. One is to provide support for developing collections, metadata, and vocabularies, to create a framework for metadata quality assurance, to promote standards and best practices that exist in the area, to deal with rights management, which is of utmost importance in the area. I'll tell you more about human resources management in a while. To provide guidelines for managing content, creating repositories and long-term preservation, as well as some software systems that are targeted to very small users, because we believe that the dissemination of systems that are addressed to the small user, open access systems, something that people can download and use, is perhaps one of the best mediums in order to spread the practice. And then to start creating a certification process. Now, a zoom at the human resources and community development, we see two groups of activity. One is training and collaboration activities, by summer school seminars and workshops. The other is to create some special interest groups or working groups, call them whatever you like, but the idea we have so far is that there are at least three directions in which we'd like to see such groups. One is research methods, how people work. The other is domain representation and terminology. It is here, you see there is a clear targeting towards the resources. And also a business forum. You remember that I had a value chain group of services that culminates with creativity, with supporting creativity and connections to the creative industries. We need to develop connections with the industries which are creative industries, digitization and documentation, and in fact this sector is quite ripe, I would say, and quite mature by this day in Greece, and I think there is a good prospect for it. The Digital Humanities Observatory will encompass such activities as the study of the use of digital methods in the humanities, monitoring the developments in the field, creating ad hoc working groups and think tanks, and also carrying out actions that are for awareness and knowledge dissemination, and of course online provision of the knowledge resources produced by the network. Now, the organization scheme, I'd like you to take a look at it, because we are 6 members, but we really like to invite people to join, and there are several ways of joining and several ways of being active in a network like this, depending on how much one is prepared to give. So it is a network of giving and of course taking, but you must be able to and prepared to give something. So you see that the management nodes are they bear the heaviest load, and they have to manage the infrastructure services. Then the other group that we call the curators, they are responsible for curating specific collections, but they don't need to bother about the other technical matters. If some people are not prepared to do this, but they just want to provide selected resources for the curators and management nodes to take care of, they are very welcome. And also, people who just want to be there in order to see what's going on and to take advantage of what is available, they are also welcome. These are the third parties who can use selected resources. And more about that tomorrow. And finally, I'd like to show our position with relation to others and other activities in the European scene. dyas-GR is related to a number of projects, and by related I mean related in practice through the participation of dyas-GR partners into other projects and having really active and working and operational links with what is going on in other projects. And there is a group of projects that are known as infrastructure projects and another group of projects that are best practice networks. We are connected to both kinds. Of course, to Daria EU first, the mother, the parent project, but then to a number of other infrastructure projects, most notably the ERI, the European Holocaust Research Infrastructure Project, and the Ariadne project, which is focused on archaeology. And then the Clarin GR project, the project on language resource infrastructure, and projects like Sendari and the Bamboo Dirt from the other side of the Atlantic, and the Medima network. I'd like to mention this because this is a European Science Foundation network for digital methods in arts and humanities, and we have close cooperation with that too. And of course, we already have an exchange with some projects that are labeled best practice. They are related to Europeana mostly, and these are Carrare 3D icons, Europeana Cloud and Low Cloud, that deal with archaeological and monuments data, 3D representations, the building of the supporting of research community through Europeana, and also collaboration between what has been known so far as Europeana Local and an effort to bring this on top of cloud technology. So this is a conscious effort to cooperate with others, because even if it looks as if we are doing lots of things, if done in isolation, they would mean nothing. So we really believe that we have to be in concert with whatever else takes place. Please allow me to finish with a personal conviction. A computer scientist myself, I happen to be, however, the product of what we once called the classic schools in this country. And I do feel that one of the best investments we can do, both as a society and as an economy, nationally and in Europe is in supporting humanistic studies and research. Thank you.